considerably shorter, as I don't think we need to spend a whole lot of time other than just highlighting some key points, as we've discussed in class ad nauseum this idea. And that is the idea of the Persian Wars, and we could, you can't talk about the Persian Wars without talking about the Battle of Thermopylae. We can certainly do that. But essentially, there was somewhat of a rivalry between some of the Greek city-states and the dominant empire of the world at that time, of the Persians. Now, the Persians had amassed the largest empire the world had seen to that point, and with control of so many different peoples, they were able to amass the largest army, or military, on the planet as well, and one that could basically, drink rivers dry, so to speak. And so the Persians were always looking towards expansion, so they're looking to expand within the Mediterranean world, in particular the northern part of the Mediterranean world, i.e. Europe, even though it doesn't really refer to that as at that time. And what is interesting and imperative with understanding the Persian Wars is, one, we can focus it on this singular event of the Battle of Thermopylae. And the reason for that is, even though the Persians are going to be victorious at the Battle of Thermopylae, their forces will be weakened to a point. They'll be weakened to a point following Thermopylae that once the Greek army is able to unite, because we talked before about how the Greek city-states were independent of each other, and they really didn't ever really come together and unify and become a nation-state of Greece. There's always this collection of city-states. But the city-states did come together and unite when it came to protection of Greek culture, Greek civilization altogether. And so they would much rather work together and put aside their own personal differences if it meant withstanding the Persian invasion. And so the Battle of Thermopylae weakened the Persian army to the point where the unified Greek armies were able to then defeat the Persians and make it so that Greece would remain independent of Persian control. Okay. Now, shortly thereafter, Athens and Sparta, they're going to go to war with each other, and you think, okay, now that Greece has defeated the Persians, that they're going to remain unified and stay together as one. It'll rise up as a nation state and possibly even become more not militaristic, but maybe have expansionary aspirations such as the Persians. And so, but they really didn't. They, the old disagreements kind of resurfaced, and they went ahead and spread out again amongst the different city-states. And but again, the significance of the Persian Wars is not that, okay, you've got this, you've got these battle tactics and things like that that certainly we can explore, and we've probably already talked about. But really, the key point, the key issue with it is more so that it allowed Greek civilization to continue as was. Status quo was able to be maintained within Greece. Like, okay, no big deal. So the Greeks were able to get into society. Well, remember back to what we said last time, that Greece is the cradle of Western civilization. And a cradle is something that holds a child. And a child, or an infant, is obviously something that's quite young that eventually has to grow. And so we can also call it the genesis of Western civilization, where it begins, the beginnings of Western civilization. And so if at the beginning Western Civ is squashed, then Western Civ as we know it today is, at least looks very different. At most, doesn't exist. And so that is the ultimate significance of the Persian Wars with the Greek city-states. And as I mentioned before, following these wars, the Greeks just kind of continued to battle with each other. Athens and Sparta are going to fight the Peloponnesian Wars, and actually the Spartans are going to eventually defeat the Athenians with Persian help, of all things. And so things that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And so bottom line is Greece is not going to remain unified following the Persian Wars. They're going to start fighting each other again, basically maybe old alliances, things like that. And again, during the Peloponnesian Wars, the Spartans are ultimately going to defeat the Athenians with Persian help. So it's just to be kind of an interesting, if you want to call it, love triangle.